Imagine a leader stepping forward to slash excessive salaries, declare war on corruption, and boldly vow to rewrite his country's future, no matter the opposition. This is precisely what General Brice Oligui has undertaken, sparking transformative conversations not only within Gabon, but across the African continent. Could this signify a long-overdue shift in governance, or is it just another fleeting promise destined to fade into history? In today's deep dive, we'll explore the revolutionary measures General Nguema has implemented and their broader implications for Gabon and Africa as a whole. How might his decisive actions redefine leadership and governance throughout the region? Stick around to uncover the details, and don't forget to subscribe to the African Web and hit the bell icon for more insightful content on Africa's journey to greatness. When General Brice Oligui Nguema addressed the nation, his words carried the weight of intention and purpose. Unlike many leaders before him, his speech wasn't a collection of vague promises or political platitudes. It was a battle cry against entrenched corruption, systemic inefficiency, and bloated government salaries. Gabon, a resource-rich country, has long suffered from economic mismanagement and rising inequality. Past leaders often made grand proclamations but rarely followed through. This time, however, something feels undeniably different. Nguema's tone wasn't merely serious, it was revolutionary. He openly criticized the deep-seated corruption and extravagant public official salaries that had drained Gabon's resources. Take a moment to reflect. How sustainable is a system where public officials enjoy outrageous salaries while ordinary citizens struggle to afford basic necessities? One of Nguema's first acts as leader was to tackle the glaring issue of excessive public sector salaries. His administration imposed a cap of 5 million CFA francs on these salaries, a significant reduction that left many officials reeling. Imagine living in a society where government officials flaunt their wealth while the average citizen struggles to pay for healthcare or electricity. For Gabon, this has been a stark reality for years. Some high-ranking officials voiced objections, claiming these cuts were unfair and might drive talent out of the public sector. But Nguema's response was unequivocal. If you're not happy, there's the door. This unflinching stance sent shockwaves across Gabon and beyond. Could this bold approach finally signal the end of unchecked privilege in governance? This bold move by Nguema can be compared to similar actions in countries like Rwanda, where leadership reforms under President Paul Kagame have also focused on limiting excess and rooting out corruption. In both cases, these actions have sent a powerful message that leadership is about service, not personal enrichment. Nguema didn't stop at cutting salaries for others. He applied the same principles to himself. In a move that stunned many Gabonese citizens, he voluntarily renounced his presidential salary. Instead, he opted to rely solely on his earnings as commander of the Republican Guard, the role he held before becoming interim president following the ousting of President Ali Bongo in August 2023. This wasn't merely a symbolic gesture, it was a declaration of solidarity with the Gabonese people. His actions highlighted his awareness of the severe economic challenges facing the nation. How often do leaders in resource-rich nations, plagued by corruption and inequality, willingly forego financial perks for the greater good? Beyond salary cuts, Nguema's administration has introduced structural reforms aimed at reshaping governance in Gabon. These include eliminating session allowances, scrapping political funds, and cutting back on unnecessary perks for lawmakers. These aren't just adjustments. They are systemic changes designed to redirect resources to critical sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. For instance, healthcare reforms under Nguema's leadership have prioritized funding for rural clinics and hospitals, ensuring that even the most marginalized communities have access to basic medical care. Similarly, investments in education focus on improving teacher training programs and providing resources for underfunded schools. These changes are vital for bridging the gap between policy and the lived experiences of ordinary citizens. How many lives could be transformed by better-equipped hospitals or schools in previously neglected areas? For a nation exhausted by decades of empty promises and corruption, Nguema's reforms have sparked a resurgence of hope. Reports suggest his decisive actions are beginning to rebuild trust in Gabon's government, a trust that seemed irreparably broken. This shift in public perception can be attributed to the transparency and accountability Nguema has demonstrated. Unlike his predecessors, he has made it clear that no one is above the law. This includes initiating investigations into previous administrations and holding officials accountable for misappropriation of public funds. These actions resonate deeply in a society where justice has often been selective and inaccessible. Could this new era of governance inspire greater civic engagement and demand for accountability across Africa? Nguema's actions are not standalone efforts. They are part of Gabon's ambitious Transformation Plan 2025. This comprehensive strategy targets three critical sectors: energy, public services, and finance. By addressing root causes like corruption and inequality, the plan aims to revolutionize the nation's economy and improve the quality of life for its citizens. Energy reforms, for instance, focus on reducing costs and eliminating frequent power outages, enabling businesses, schools, and hospitals to operate smoothly. This isn't just governance, it's about reshaping Gabon's future. The financial sector reforms under this plan aim to enhance economic inclusivity by expanding access to banking and credit services, particularly for small businesses. Imagine the entrepreneurial potential that could be unleashed if more citizens had the financial resources to innovate and grow. Nguema's leadership offers valuable lessons for African nations grappling with corruption, inequality, and inefficiency. His willingness to make personal sacrifices and challenge entrenched systems demonstrates a new model of governance, one rooted in accountability and fairness. Across Africa, nations like Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya are observing Gabon's transformation with keen interest. Could Nguema's bold actions inspire similar reforms elsewhere? How might his leadership influence younger generations of African leaders? The African Union has also taken note of Nguema's reforms, viewing them as a potential blueprint for tackling governance challenges across the continent. Imagine a future where leaders prioritize the welfare of their people over personal gain. What would that mean for Africa's development trajectory? For the average Gabonese family, these reforms translate into tangible benefits. Lower energy costs mean families no longer have to choose between paying electricity bills and buying groceries. Improved public services ensure hospitals are well equipped, rural areas gain access to healthcare, and schools have the resources to educate future generations. Consider this: how many families have suffered due to years of corruption and mismanagement? Nguema's bold actions are not just policies, they're lifelines for millions of Gabonese citizens. While these reforms have been widely praised, they come with immense challenges. The Gabonese people now hold high expectations, and any faltering in execution could reignite skepticism. Will Nguema's administration sustain this momentum, or will these efforts falter under political pressure? Moreover, how will the broader African leadership landscape respond to Gabon's example? Could this inspire similar actions across the continent? What do you think? Is General Brice Oligui Nguema the transformative leader Gabon has been waiting for, or do his bold reforms still leave room for doubt? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the African Web for more in-depth analyses of African leadership, culture, and progress. And here's a thought-provoking question to ponder: could Nguema's bold reforms spark a wave of change across Africa?